I lead the product development at Autosy, and today I've traveled from Bangalore to take part in this session. So this tool, Hot has been working on for the last year to bring coordination around field mapping. So for today, I talk about the challenges in field mapping, how FMTM plans to address few of these challenges, and then also how it has been used across various countries and what's the roadmap. So we'll start with the challenges faced with field mapping. So most of you here must be familiar with the remote mapping, where imagery is used as reference to do mapping on OpenStreetMap or add data to the other data. So unlike the remote mapping setup, where you see the buildings and highways and see and just trace all those on the map, field mapping is different, like where you go to the field and collect real-world information about those fields. So the mapper has to be present on it. So in remote mapping, like you sit from Bangladesh, you can map somewhere in the US, or you can map somewhere in India. But with field mapping, you have to be present on it. And there are different ways to do it. I've seen people using taking like paper notes. They take like carry papers. I'm not sure if everyone has used field papers. So it was like a popular option at one point for field mapping. So people take down notes on paper, like this is the place, take down notes, get back to it, and digitize all the data. The data either goes into OSM or like they use it for further analysis. But here, for this context, the FMTM context, I'm just going to be talking about FMTM's use case for mobile data collection. Because the integration is around like handheld devices. Like when you collect data, field data, using handheld devices like mobile or tablet. So it's not about like paper mapping, the papers that you use to these fields. And field mapping has uses across like different sectors. So it can be used for disaster response, disaster preparedness, or like urban planning, environmental monitoring. So there are endless use cases. But in each of these cases, there will be just like one person, like hobby field mapper. Like most of us would be like hobby field mapper, using like Everino Map or like Working Tracker and several other apps like that. But in like specific cases like this, there are organizations or groups that bring together a bunch of people to do the field mapping activity. So when you say bunch of people, it could be like anywhere in the scale of like 10 to 20 or even beyond that, depending on the scale of the project. And when there are like a group of people, doing the field mapping, there are challenges around like how do you define like which area has to be mapped, what are the features about which the data has to be collected, what is the data that has to be collected, and how do you make sure all the mappers collect the data in the same format using the same application. Because like when you get back to the disk with all the data from the mappers, there are chances the data might be inconsistent or the data might be incomplete or incompatible with each other. So several of these challenges are addressed through field mapping tasking manager or the FMTM. How does it do it? It extends the idea of organized editing to field mapping activity. So you all must be aware of the tasking manager tool like me. Tasking manager tool is an organized editing tool for OpenStreetMap. So it works for remote mapping or remote map concept. So how does it work on tasking manager? So there will be like a project manager or an organization setting up a project area. They say, okay, this is the area for which I have to like map buildings or highways or land cover. It can be like any feature. So define a project area, and the tool will divide the project area into smaller tasks. Now anyone who wants to contribute to that task or for part of the project can log into tasking manager, pick any task from the project and start working on it. So there can be like hundreds of mappers working on the same project simultaneously without any conflict or confusion around who's mapping what. So I'll be knowing like who's mapping the other area. We have handed over like 1,000 mappers on the same platform for different projects and has worked fine. And the tool has been like successful for the last 10 years or so. So we are extending this idea of organized editing to field mapping. That's what FMTM is. So there is this coordination bit. So you can set up something called mapping project. You define an area where this field mapping has to be done. And then there is a little bit of coordination around who picks what tasks. So the project area is divided into smaller bits of tasks, and the field mappers go ahead and pick each of these tasks. And then the project manager or the organization who is running this field mapping activity, they will be able to monitor the overall project progress using the FMTM. Now, how does it work? In short, like I said, it's a coordination. It brings a level of coordination around this app called ODK or Open Data Feed. ODK in itself is a popular data collection tool that can be used on handheld devices to do field survey. And FMTM has a tight integration with the ODK. The overall process for field mapping via FMTM has three structured workflows. It starts with the project setup. So someone has to set up a project. Similar to tasking manager, there's someone who says, okay, this is my area of interest or AOI. This is where the entire field mapping has to happen. And then after defining this area, this AOI is uploaded into field mapping tasking manager. And the tool divides that area into smaller grids, smaller tasks. Of course, like you have to specify some additional details about why you're setting up this project, what are the instructions that you're getting for the mappers. And once that is done, these tasks can be picked up by field mappers. And then they go ahead mapping things on the field using the ODK app. Final step is the data quality or the validation. All the submissions that's made by the field mappers, this will be verified by the validators on the FMTM application. So overall, this is the high level overview. But let's dive into each of these steps. So first is the project management step. So there is there's a user role called project manager. If you're familiar with tasking manager, you know the terms are very relatable. So a project manager requires an area of interest, and they also should have a set of features that has to be surveyed or for which the field mapping activity has to be carried out. So once they decide that, then they should also have a standard survey form that can be used for all the features by all the field mappers. In ODK, this survey form is called XLS form. So this XLS form, there is some sort of standardization we provide within FMTM. But depending on the project, you can customize the form for the way you need. So there will be you can survey about the number of people living in a household, or what kind of building, is it residential or commercial, or any other additional detail that you want to survey about buildings. So once you figure out this AOI and the features that has to be surveyed, you let the tool know, okay, I have the basic information provided. Now get this project area divided into smaller tasks. So the task division here is not very straightforward like the remote mapping setup. Because since it's field mapping, you have to make sure the clustering of the features in such a way that the field mappers are able to reach these areas efficiently without having to jump between roads or cross rivers. All of that has to be taken into consideration while dividing the project area into smaller tasks. So FMTM has an inbuilt task splitting algorithm that is capable of handling this. And once this project setup is done, finally a project specific QR code is generated, which is then used for the next. The next step is for the mappers. So the first step is on the project management, where the project setup is done. The second step is for the mappers to pick tasks from each of the projects and start doing the team setup. So the QR code is available for each project, and a mapper can use their ODK Collect app on the mobile, scan the QR code, and all the project details will be available for them within their app. And from within the mobile itself, they will be able to pick specific tasks that they want to work on within a project. And using the ODK app, they can make sure all the features in the task are completely surveyed. So within a task, there might be 10 or 20 buildings, depending on how the project manager has chosen to divide the project. And for each feature, the survey form would be the same, because this XLS form would also have been uploaded by the project manager. So once all the feature has been surveyed for a given task, they can mark the task as matched, then navigate back to FMTM, pick another task and keep going. So that's the process of the mapping. Finally, as the mappers keep surveying buildings or like the other features that we see on the field, they can also keep uploading this data via ODK to the FMPM. And all the submissions of the survey features will be accessible for the project managers from the submissions dashboard. Now what happens after the submissions dashboard? Each of the submission can be verified by a validator to see the information collected for each feature is what aligns with what is expected for that project. If something is not working, the validator can go ahead and reject that particular feature for survey. Or they can just approve it or mention like, so these are the specific issues found in the survey for this project. Which means like you have to like repeat the survey for these buildings or for these features currently. Yeah, we are also looking to conflate such submissions. So there is project creation and then there is mapping. Finally, there is validation. But what happens to the data? So you have reviewed all the data and all seems to be good. But now you have to conflate it against the original source. So there are like 100 buildings that you had field map surveyed. And you had additional data or addresses, like anything that you want about these buildings collected. Now you have to make sure the information that you collected is conflated, is merged with the original data so that you can use it for additional analysis as needed. So that step is called conflation. It's still a work in progress. It's not yet available on production, but we are aiming to push it very soon. But for now, you can download all of the review data. You can download it from the FMPM and use it for further analysis or like other visualizations that you want to make. So that's the overview about FMPM, and we have had this tool being used across like several countries for different projects. So far, we have tried FMPM across like 10 countries in Latin America, Western North Africa, East and South Africa, and also in Asia. And in each of these exercises, we have got feedback from the community, from the field mappers, from the organizations who have helped us run these pilots. And depending on that, we have done improvements to it. So the first exercise that we ran was with the Ocean Rwanda community, where we trained volunteers to do household enumeration, household survey. So that gave us like a good starting point of how we could improve the mapping experience. And other notable use case is Janakpur household survey, which is held in Nepal. So here we had about 16 field mappers, and they mapped close to 3,000 buildings, collecting all the address data. And it took about 2 weeks time to finish all of this via FMPM. Finally, on the tech, we have a team from Naxta based in Kathmandu who is supporting us on the software development. Right now, we just have like one backend and one front-end developer. And then there is the tech support is offered by Hot. Sam from Hot Voice is leading the tech decision. And I support the product development. And if you're interested in doing any code contribution, the backend is on Python Fast API framework, and front-end is on React, and the infrastructure is hosted on Docker, Postgres, Kubernetes. So all that is trending, and if you want to contribute, you can pick and work on these issues. It's all available on GitHub if you want to like start with some bugs or like documentation or feature implementation. It's well documented and all the issues are labeled. So you'll be able to identify which one that you want to work on. The roadmap for the tool, so on the different front ends like the project management, mappers and the validation experience, we have plans for all the workflows. So we want to make the transition between FMPM and the ODK seamless for the mappers. That's going to be the first priority. For now, there is a lot of switch happening between the FMPM and the ODK app. Reducing that would make the process much faster on the field. And we are also exploring alternate mapping apps like Vespucci to be integrated with FMPM. For now, the integration is only with ODK. I know like people have also been using Kobo Collect and other tools. Yeah. So there's Kobo Collect and other tools. But we have been pushing for ODK. But if there are like other tools that you would want to see integrated with the FMPM, yeah, we can talk about it. And we also want to provide some sort of like standardization around the XLS forms or the survey forms that's used for the field mapping. The other things include user management and organization management. So for now, if you have a login on FMTM, you'll be able to go ahead and like, create a project. Unlike Tasking Manager where you need admin access. So it's at very early stages. If you want to experiment with how the project setup and all that stuff, now is the time. Next year, the beginning of the year, we are thinking about having organization setup similar to how we have things on Tasking Manager. So then you have to register as an organization, be an organization admin, and then you create a project. Yeah. So these are some links like the GitHub link, and if you want to talk to the team, we are all on Slack. Or if you want to like have more details about the project, do mail to me. That's my mail address. Yeah, that's all I have for today. Good.